I wanted to love Gravity Rush, but I couldn't. I only felt sad in the end. I love the music, I love the art style, I love the visuals and graphics, I love the sound, I love the adorable protagonist, and I love not needing to take trains to other cities late in the game, and instead I just fly to them. But it so disappears when Gravity Rush remembers it's a game. The combat is awful, the story is nonsense, the missions are lame, and the optional challenges are worse, and the RPG-like mechanics on your power/energy beaters felt shallow. I love the powers so much, I stopped playing the game after the mission where they take your powers away for a moment. This is a very, very upset comment I read on Facebook. Not by me, but by a friend of mine. And I value his opinion on a lot of things, but this is one of the things I can't agree with him on. And writing it would do no justice. But I felt like I had to talk. I'm going to talk to him later, but I felt like I had to present this to him as soon as I could. So without calling him or driving over to his house. So we'll break this down segment by segment. So first of all, he says he wanted to love Gravity Rush, but he couldn't. He only felt sad in the end. So he wanted to like it, right? He gave it a fair shot, according to this. So we'll analyze this step by step. So he loved the music. Okay, I think we all agree with that. Music's awesome in Gravity Rush. He loved the art style. Yep, great art style. Love the visuals and graphics. Also really sweet. I love the sound. Yep, the sound is very satisfying. It's cool. Makes you feel like you're actually flying. I love the adorable protagonist. She is very adorable. And I love not needing to take trains to other cities late in the game, and I instead just fly to them. Yes, so that's the thing I want to talk about, you know. Taking trains is fun, but it feels very satisfying too when you build your gravity so much that you can just fly to them. The game gives you this sense of award, I guess, or a sense of satisfaction for progressing. It gives you a sense of progression. So I'll talk about that later. All right, but it so disappears when Gravity Rush remembers it's a game. So what does he mean by this? He means something. Okay, so it's some of the gameplay. He likes Gravity Rush as a medium and an art, but he doesn't like it as a video game. So we'll see what he has to complain about in the game. The combat is awful. All right, we'll stop here. So he clearly doesn't like the combat. So what is it about the combat? Well, the combat is a little clunky, maybe. You know, the camera angles aren't the best, and you can't just mash square to kill through everything. But I think that's like one of the best parts about Gravity Rush. So Gravity Rush is one of those few games, and I liken it to, I don't want to liken it to Dark Souls, but that's like the closest thing I can think of, right? Like, you can't, towards the beginning of the game, you can kind of like just kind of mash square and kick everything, but later on in the game, like, the enemies get pretty tough, and you get like flying enemies and stuff, and you have to like start thinking about it, right? The whole goal is just kind of like enter gravity mode, use a gravity kick, but the problem with the kick is it requires momentum. If you're further away and you kick somebody with a gravity kick, it does more damage. If you're like right close to them doing point blank shots, it's easier, but you'll do like no damage, and you also get punished because the momentum won't knock you back far enough and it'll leave you vulnerable. So the game like forces you to learn like, you know, proper positioning on your gravity kicks and everything, which I think is super cool, you know. And like the whole game is about like, you know, this girl that she just discovered her gravity powers, so she's obviously not gonna be an expert, and it really focuses that in when you meet your rival who just knows how to fly flawlessly. So I don't know, I think the combat was great. I think it properly challenges players. I think it can be frustrating at times, but I think the reward and satisfaction you get from properly fighting tough battles, I think the payoff's worth it. So I don't know, agree to disagree. All right, next thing. Story is nonsense. Okay, so I don't know, maybe it's cliche, maybe it's silly, maybe it's linear, but it's good. Like, you know, just because something's overdone doesn't mean it's not good. Like, Your Name was a stupid story, but I loved it because of the way it was delivered. And Gravity Rush, whether the story is good or bad, like, it was still delivered really great. So you start off, you know, like, as this girl who's lost all her memories. You actually have nothing to your name. You have no home, you have no money, no food. All you have is like the clothes on your back and Dusty the cat. And what happens, you know? Well, like, you find out you have these amazing powers and you have to learn how to use them. And at first, you know, she's like an amateur to them. She ends up wrecking this guy's house. Everybody's mad at her. But then, like, spoilers, like, you become friends with, like, the guy by the end of the game. You know, he ends up selling, like, ice cream and everything. And, like, you're, like, one of his best friends and everything. And the city just hates you at the beginning. But over time, like, you learn to gain their trust. There's, like, the little, like, love interest slash friendship slash not really love interest between you and, like, that one dude that's, like, the guard, kind of. And, like, I don't know, it's like the sense of progression, I guess, you get through the story, from Kat being this homeless wanderer at the beginning game to, like, the hero of Hexville by the very end, and the huge, crazy, like, struggle she go through, you know, like, at the beginning of the game, you start collecting things for your house. Just as you finally settle in, like, everything just shit hits the fan, you know, the Nevis start attacking everybody. So, I don't know, it takes you on this dynamic adventure that I don't see in a lot of video games. So, alright. Next thing, the missions are lame, and the optional challenges worse. So, okay, well, the optional challenges are actually one of the best things about the game. I don't know. So, maybe he thinks the missions are lame, though there are a lot of missions where they're pretty linear, you know, like, it feels like you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over. You're going from, like, point A to point B. But I think, like, throughout the game, like, it does a pretty good job, like, mixing it up, right? Like, there's a scene where you have to, like, go to the entertainment district and you have to, like, fly that other schoolboy around the place. And, you know, like, Kat kind of falls in love at first, but then you find out, like, you know, he's already got a girl, and then she's, like, sad again. And then she goes back to, like, being independent Kat. Like, you know, she gets over it because she's stronger than that. She's not tied down. And, like, the game does a great job. Like, once the game, spoilers alert, like, brings a whole underground city, like, and now, like, suddenly there's a huge new dynamic, right? You can't just, like, fly around because there's no open sky. It's just, like, this underground place. I don't know. Okay, so mission's lame. I don't know. I thought the mission's very great. And then optional challenges worse. Well, the thing about the optional challenges is they're optional. Like, you can't go to Burger King, you know, order, like, I don't know. Or you can't go to McDonald's, right? Order a double quarter pound of cheese and then demand I don't even think they have mayonnaise, but let's say they sold mayonnaise at Burger King, right? But it was optional. And you say, I want the optional mayonnaise on my burger. They're like, okay, it's really bad, but we'll put it on there because you demand the optional mayonnaise. And then you end up saying, like, oh wow, this optional mayonnaise is garbage, and so is McDonald's. But, like, you can't complain about an optional mechanic. Like, that's not Burger King's fault. That's not McDonald's fault. That's your fault for putting mayonnaise on your double quarter pounder of cheese. Like, why would you do that? So, I don't know. But I actually think the optional challenge, all that said, I think the optional challenges were actually pretty good in this game. Because, it's like, especially, like, the lava boss, right? In the Inferno. It's one of the hardest things you have to do. But it challenges you. And, like, I got mad at it, I got pissed off, I complained about the camera controls, but overall in the end, like, I stuck through it, and I beat it. And I was so satisfied at the end, because it challenges you, and I felt like I just got better at the combat in the game just by doing that. So, like, those are one of the most satisfying games to me, right? Where, like, not only can you get good just by playing the game because of RPG mechanics, but also that you can get good as yourself as a player, like Super Smash Bros. Or Gravity Rush or Dark Souls 2, where you just get better at, like playing the game mechanically. That's, like, one of the most satisfying feelings of progression to me, and I felt a lot of progression of that in Gravity Rush. And also, a lot of the other optional challenges, they're just, like, races, which might seem boring at first, but, like, when you try to get, like, the golden level races, like, they're actually really tough, but, like, there's an incentive to do them, right? Like, you can get, like, a whole bunch of experience points for them. And, like, you can't just grind experience points by beating up enemies. You have to get them by getting crystals. So the game incentivizes you to do, like, optional challenges if you want to progress early, but you don't have to. So, like, you know, there's an incentive not to do them because they're so difficult, but there's also an incentive to, and they're optional. You don't have to do them. You know, you can just play the game normally. But there's also an incentive to do them if you want to challenge yourself. So, I don't know. Finally, and the RPG light mechanics on your power / energy meters felt shallow. Okay, so this is the other part. Like, I don't think it does feel shallow. So he might be saying, like, yeah, it's RPG light, right? Like, all you can do is, like, increase health, increase gravity. That's it. Like, it doesn't feel like customizable. But like, games don't need to be customizable. You can just progress yourself as a player. You can learn to be better mechanically at the game by learning, like, you know, how to abuse like the camera controls and how to abuse like gravity kicks and stuff, or like the energy meter. And like, I think the RPG mechanics were like the best part about the game, because at the beginning you have like almost no health and no gravity. You can only fly for like a few seconds before you tire out, and then you can only get hit like so many times before you die. By the end of the game, you become fucking invincible once you max out that health and gravity. You can just fly actually forever, and it's crazy. And you can just get hit like so many times that you take so much punishment. And it gives you that sense of progression that like you become this badass by the end of the game. So, and the other thing is like, you can't just farm at the very beginning of the game and become ultra powerful, because there's a limited amount of crystals. So you can't just like, you know, like get max powers and then just easy mode your way through the game. You actually have to challenge yourself. So I don't know. All right, last one. I love the powers so much, I stopped playing the game after the mission where they take your powers away for a moment. So here's again the thing about the challenge, though. Yeah, maybe he's sad. You know, his favorite part about Gravity Rush is clearly like flying around, and we all love flying around. But this is the game challenging us, right? Even puts us like in this dark, creepy world where we don't have our powers because Dusty just leaves, and you have to catch Dusty. And like, that's the other thing. Like, it kind of like makes you like think about in perspective. This whole time you've been taking your cat for granted, that just gives you these amazing gravity powers, but then they take it away from you, and they give you a challenge. You know, like, yeah, it's akin to like the segments in Mario Sunshine where they take away FLUDD from you. You have to race Dirty Mario, except this is like not bullshit, because like those parts were actually pretty fair. Like, they gave you plenty of platform stuff and plenty of health pickups. And it challenges you as a player, you know, to think like, okay, well, how do I play the game on a fundamental level without the gravity powers, right? When I can't just like fly through everything. So, I don't know. And I don't know if when he says I stopped playing the game after the mission, when he means like he put it down, or if he actually just stopped. But if he actually just stopped there's so much of the game he's missing, right? Like, he's missing like the very ending, spoiler alerts, where like you meet like a whole new character, you get to save Hexville, the whole city loves you. Like, I don't know, Gravity Rush just had one of the most satisfying endings in video game history, I would argue. So maybe his argument, right, is that like, if the game wasn't able to compel him enough to finish the game, maybe that's why he doesn't think it's a good game. But that's just my opinion. That's my spiel on Gravity Rush. I love Gravity Rush. I'll defend it till the day I die. I think it's one of those games where you can play through all the mandatory missions and just kind of breeze through it like a normal mode game, and you can also like go through plenty of challenges, and there's so much additional content. And I think like one of the things that Gravity Rush does the best is incentivize players to play the game. I think there's a lot of games where like, I don't feel like I'm having fun playing games. Like, I just feel like, you know, oh, I'm doing this because like the story tells me to. Like in Breath of the Wild, there's no incentive to like beat Calamity Ganon. It's like, why do I care about Calamity Ganon? And like, I'd rather just like, you know, like cook food or like ride horse or something, because that's fun. But like in Gravity Rush, I felt an incentive because like I actually cared about Cat, because like I felt like I was Cat. Like, you feel it when like you start the game, you crash in the sewers, you're poor and you have nothing, and you just go through this adventure. I feel incentives to do optional challenges because I want to fly more. Flying's fun in that game, but to do them I have to do optional challenges. And I feel incentives to get better at the game because the optional challenges and the races are difficult, but they force me to like explore parts of the city I didn't know. They force me to like push yourself to the limit and see how good you are at like just moving quickly in the game. So it teaches you like fundamentals of the game without stupid ass tutorials. So I don't know. That's my spiel on Gravity Rush. You don't have to agree or disagree with me. That's just me stating what I think. But thanks for watching, guys.